Να δούμε αν είναι μαζί μας η κυρία Δόλα.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm really good. Greetings from Belgium. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there with you. I hope I will recover by bringing you this interesting information. So
please
up to
begin.
you, give me guidance.
Please.
When to start.
The stage, the audience is yours, please.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. So thank you for being here. I hope I will give you interesting information, also complementing the colleague from Titan, what's going on in the construction products world. Of course, I am much more involved in the policy and regulatory framework of Europe, of the European Union. So I will present to you how we think that the construction industry could play a role into more circular, renewable, and resource-efficient society. First, I'm going to start briefly by introducing who do I represent. So I represent EURIMA, which is the European Association of Insulation Manufacturers, and specifically from the insulation pie, let's say, in the market, I represent the mineral wool insulation producers. Some of you may be aware of some of the companies like Knauf Insulation, Isover, Fibran, which is Greek, Rockwool, etc., etc. But we also have national associations that we represent across Europe. Now, what I would like to present to you is a little bit of history, how the European regulatory framework has been developed. And I must say that the current Commission has been very ambitious when it comes to environment and sustainability. And everything started in December 2019 when Mrs. von der Leyen presented the Green Deal. What does the Green Deal mean? The Green Deal is a target for 2050 for the whole European continent to become carbon neutral by then. And of course, in 2019, we neglected completely that COVID would be there and all these energy crises that we experience today, but it was already very, very ambitious for the facts of EU already and globally as well. What has followed was that in March, so a few months later, we also received a separate package, which was called the Circular Economy Package. And the Commission envisioned that by 2050, we will also become circular by then. And that included several initiatives in this package. Now, the next big milestone since then was March of this year, where the Commission again presented the spring package, as we call it in the regulatory world. And they have presented some necessary tools that they believe that this would address the environmental challenges that we are facing today. And everybody speaks about the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products regulation, which is a very big and extremely ambitious package that applies to all products that are marketed in EU. And at the same day, they have released the new revised proposal for the construction products regulation. And both aspects, so let's start with the ESPR, as we call it, the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product, would indicate what will be the principles, what will be the requirements to make sure that all products that are marketed in EU will be sustainable. So for the product groups that would have their own individual product regulation, these requirements from the ESPR would be translated further in their own individual regulation. That's why for construction products, the most important text that we have to focus on is that what will apply inside the construction products regulation. And sustainability is definitely part of that. So in order to ensure, considering what is already available in terms of regulations, but also what will be available in the coming months and years from the Commission, we believe that there should be a sequencing on how to achieve sustainable buildings. And everything starts from these ESPR requirements that are translated into the construction world. And construction product, which is the product level, if we see the buildings, is really important to ensure that sustainability is given by following the EPD information that we have today. And that's why we emphasize a lot that EPDs, according to EN 15804 Clause A2, shall be the basis for whatever requirements we will set at the product level in order to ensure that we will deliver environmental sustainability. And then from the product level, it's really important because we always highlight the fact that construction products are intermediate products to the building. So the final product for us is the building itself. And for this reason, and in order to ensure that the correct calculation of environmental impact is there, from the product level, in order to go to the building level, we very much support the levels framework, and not only the levels framework, but the standard behind it, which is the EN 5978. And this is how to ensure that these two elements will always fit based on these standards. Now, once we achieve this level, we can do several things. So the building level framework could be translated into the taxonomy by defining what is the type of sustainability activities or processes at the buildings or in the construction. And we have the energy performance of the building, which could set requirements how to achieve sustainability of buildings. And we could also have the green public procurement, which could also further set award criteria on which building will be the ones that could achieve these minimum requirements, as we say, to ensure that they will get a stamp that they are sustainable buildings. And this is just a small variety of things that we could do with this type of information. But what I would like you to explain is a little bit further about the construction products regulation, because this is a big topic and a big change, what is coming. Now, the CPR, as I will use the abbreviation, is a list of rules and requirements that all construction products shall meet in order to be able to market it in the EU market. And this is really important because every product is assessed and verified against its conformity to these requirements and rules in order to get the CE marking, because without the CE marking, you cannot market freely your product across EU. And that started in 1989 as a directive, which means that it's a suggestion towards the member state, but it became a regulation, which means harmonized rules across all member states back in 2011. So it exists 11 years now as a common regulation for all member states to respect. And this set of rules since 2011 is now in the process to be revised. And these two elements will be further introduced as objectives. First is to improve the functioning of the single market, and you can see they want to ensure that there will be the sector's growth and job potential, but also to improve its competitiveness and digital transition. Digitalization is a big part of the revision. And not only that, but a big chapter will be the environmental sustainability. Because we believe that this is how the sector and the manufacturing processes will be transitioning to green level. And then overall, how to support better the sustainability of the built environment and the efficient use of natural resources with reuse and recycling. Now, this is big. So imagine what is coming in terms of environmental sustainability is that in order to get in the coming years your CE marking, you need to declare as part of your declaration of performance, or DOP as we say it, the list of indicators, environmental indicators that we submit via our EPD. And this will become mandatory in order to get the CE marking. So imagine, this is really big because even for small, medium enterprises, this will become mandatory. And this is the big game changer. on what is coming for construction products regulation. Of course, the vision is that if all construction products will have this information as part of the DOP and therefore the CE marking, will be much more easy to track down all this type of information, whether it's technical performance or environmental performance, at the building level. So everything is supposed to be digitalized also in the future. Now, what we are discussing, and currently we are in negotiation points, that what will become mandatory? So what will be the number of indicators that will become mandatory to be declared? And what we are currently in discussions is probably that the biggest chance is that the core indicators that we submit as part of our EPDs will become the mandatory information to declare in the DOPs in the coming future. Now, things like the additional, such as the additional indicators or some indicators related to resource use or waste or biogenic carbon are still in negotiation, and we will see what will become mandatory. But definitely the first part, which is the core indicators, and I think more or less everybody's familiar with, will definitely become a mandatory element. Now, in terms of verification, we are setting up a new system for assessment and verification because whatever is put as part of, in the context of the construction products regulation, needs to be verified via notified bodies, as we call them. And imagine notified bodies being the third-party verifiers as we have today to verify our APDs. And what needs to be verified from this information is first, the initial, or in case there is an updated assessment of the environmental impact of the construction product, the process in order to generate this assessment, the modeling that has been used, and also whether there was a correct use of the IT tools that were used for this assessment. And the objective is to connect the current practices of the EPD verification. And that's what we are trying to do with EcoPlatform, because they're also the EPD verifiers, so that these experts will become the notified bodies to access this information. In terms of digitalization, all the sustainability information that is supposed to be available to customers or downstream economic operators and users will become completely digitalized. That's why we discuss about product databases, or to include all this information as part of the digital product passport, like declaration of performance or declaration of conformity, or even instructions for use, so that by having this information digitalized, we will also ensure and even allow the choice between products and judge them also in terms of sustainability performance. And again, we always keep in mind that this information needs to be available at the building level. And that's why we are also discussing digital building logbooks, because the objective is to have this information available for decades, because buildings will remain there for many, many years. And of course, again, the program operators provide already many solutions to this digitalization challenge. And that's why they're very close with the European Commission to provide these solutions. I think this is my almost last slide. In terms of product labeling requirements, we are discussing about provisions that come from the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product and how this will be connected with the CPR. On this basis, I mean, it's a bit more complex how these rules will be set in practice, but we are discussing even potentially to set benchmarking, similar to what the colleague Intan showed, but there are many discussions because we believe that this benchmarking should only be set at the building level. So we are still negotiating terms with the Commission and the Parliament. So yeah, what will be benchmarking will be for the environmental indicators mainly. And this is still, as I said, under discussion. Now, in the Parliament, there are many heated discussions, but these are the key people that we are negotiating with, and you can understand that there is a process For example, in end of November, we will have the first ideas from the MEPs. What do they think that it will become mandatory or not? And there will be many steps of negotiations until March, more or less, to finalize the process. So let's say by end of next year or beginning of 2024, we will have a finalized, even voted proposal that will be the future of the construction product regulation. And that was my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.